Hello, my name is Lisa Nuyens, and I'm the Executive Director of the Grand Rapids Child Discovery Center. And I am here to share with you some information for new families. So, new families could be kindergarten families that are just beginning the public education journey for your children, or it could be families who are new to GRCDC but have been in the school system for a while. So, much of this information is to give you an overview of the school, our philosophy, our operating norms, and what you can expect from daily life and communication at GRCDC to help ease your way as you join our school community and make things as smooth as possible. Today, we'll be looking at four different main topics. So, we're going to look at the overview of our school model. What is the Grand Rapids Child Discovery Center all about? We're going to look specifically at the student experience. So, what is happening with your child all day when they are at the school building? We are going to talk about family engagement. And then, obviously, since this is a recording session, we won't have a question and answer period. However, I will give you my contact information so that you can follow up with me on any questions that you may have. First and foremost, my name is Lisa Nuyens. I'm the Executive Director and Superintendent of the Grand Rapids Child Discovery Center. The Grand Rapids Child Discovery Center is a public school academy or a charter school authorized by Grand Rapids Public Schools. We're also considered a single building school district, which means that's why the title superintendent you'll see in my name. Everything that we do and that we handle for the Grand Rapids Child Discovery Center is all done in-house by myself and by other staff members of the Grand Rapids Child Discovery Center. So that means that we do not have a central office, we do not have a charter management organization. We handle the work of our school. You'll see here a picture of myself and my family, my wife and our 8 children. So I have a lot of experience both as an educator and as a parent, currently with children ranging from ages 17 to age 9 in our household, all GRCDC alums, and one current GRCDC student, the youngest, Edward. The other thing that you might want to know is that I have been working in education for 25 years. I started as a public school teacher in Albion, Michigan, teaching Title I reading and civics in middle school. And then I moved on to teaching, earning my master's in special education and teaching special education as a middle school teacher in St. Louis, Missouri, where then I earned my master's in school leadership and educational administration, became a principal there for 4 years, and then worked for a while developing other leaders, aspiring school leaders. Throughout the country, specifically in rural areas through Teach for America. And then I became the executive director of Grand Rapids Child Discovery Center in 2017. My co-leader is Sarah Cooper. Her title from our Reggio inspired philosophy is the pedagogista of GRCDC and our instructional leader. And a great way to think of Sarah's role is if you think of a principal of a more traditional school, what that principal would handle in terms of thinking about teaching and learning, thinking about curriculum, supporting students and teachers in their learning. That is the role that Sarah Cooper has. So she's deeply, deeply, deeply knowledgeable about our Reggio philosophy, our curriculum, our assessments. And so anything that's going on for teachers, professional learning, coaching and support around teaching and learning, as well as issues for students surrounding learning and assessments, is all part of Sarah Cooper's role. And she is truly expert at what she does. The next very important person you should know is Rachel Harth. You probably already know her either via email, phone call, or a school visit. She is our director of operations in the office. She does all the things. Rachel has been here since the school first began 25 years ago. She does all of our Skyward work, our pupil accounting, technology, a lot of our finances. And so she is really be really knowledgeable about all the different areas of life in the school. So if you have a question, starting in the office is a great place to start because Rachel will be able to help you figure out either who to ask or what the answer is. We next have Andrew Kleinschmidt. He's our social emotional learning or SEL and culture coach. He helps students and teachers that are having a hard time, helps with conflict resolution, helps support students in developing skills around self-management, self-regulation, self-awareness, social awareness. Andrew is a teacher first by trade and has worked here since the beginning of his career and worked as a second and third grade teacher at GRCDC for 13 years before transitioning into this role last year. And his role is really a hybrid role. He has a role in teacher support and coaching around social and emotional learning because relationships and the whole human is such an important part of our school. We make sure that we support teachers in those areas, as well as supporting students either by schedule or on call in moments of crisis when a student might need some extra help throughout the school day. Next, you have Jessie Hammond, also known as Miss Jessie. You may also already know her. She is the face of the front office, so she answers the phone. She will help you figure out answers to your questions. She will distribute, dismissal cards and, all of those things that are administrative in nature for adults. But then she also really shows up as a professional mom for the students in the school. So if somebody gets hurt, somebody has even hurt feelings or a boo-boo or something like that, they will go to Miss Jessie and Miss Jessie will help make it right. And then last but certainly not least, we have Shane Cooperwood, who goes by Mr. Shane. He is our head custodian and maintenance worker. You will see Mr. Shane here all around the building. You'll see him outside on the grounds. He becomes many of our students' most favorite person to see throughout the day and helps take care of all of the spaces that help teachers and children learn and grow at GRCDC. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive into an overview of the GRCDC school model. So, charter schools or public school academies, of which we are at GRCDC, are meant to have more freedom and autonomy and experimentation maybe than a traditional public school. And the idea behind that is for charter schools to, test theories and experiment with different ideas about teaching and learning. And so for GRCDC, we are Reggio inspired, and Reggio is a philosophy about learning that comes out of Northern Italy after World War II. And it's really based in little d democracy. So in collaboration and group decision making and relationships and fairness and equity. That learning and growing together is a pursuit to be done in relationship with one another, not with competition at the heart of it, but with the consideration of the strengths and areas of growth for every human at the heart of it. We have core values that we live by at GRCDC that are inspired by the Reggio philosophy. And those core values are potential, inspiration, connection, equity. And the purpose behind those is to really, there's some belief statements that go with each of those. And they articulate like the way we would respond or think or act when things come up based on our Reggio philosophy, our vision and mission, our core values. We believe in a high quality collaborative learning environment for all children, that this is a right that all students have, regardless of any other identity markers or experiences, that it's our job as a school to design and participate in learning experiences that are high quality and that connect children with one another, with the adults, and with the community. That gets to the education based on relationships piece. So we believe that learning happens within interactions between people, between humans, adults and children, and it's not something that happens in isolation. Um, or in competition, that it takes a relationship to learn. And that's one of the things that I think our kids take with them beyond fifth grade or beyond GRCDC is being able to handle, think about, reflect on interpersonal relationships like friendships, but also, my learning buddy or my acquaintance. And how do I handle having the same idea as somebody else? How do I handle having a different idea as somebody else? How do I handle conflict with somebody? How do I build on my own strengths and somebody else's strengths? How do I advocate for myself and advocate for others? And so all of those ideas are built into the experiences that children have at Grand Rapids Child Discovery Center because we believe in this education based on relationships in our Reggio inspired model. Here's some slides that explain that. I'm just going to let these slides show for a second. Okay. Now we're going to delve into the student experience. So, you trust us each day with your most important um, part of your life, your child, and you drop them off, at around 8 a.m. and then you see them again, around 3:45, 4 o'clock, or maybe a little later if they go to aftercare. And being a parent myself, I know that it can be a little difficult to find out from your students what happened during their school day. So we want parents to have a general idea of what the school day looks like. So morning drop off begins at 8 a.m. and it goes until 8:20. And that is also when breakfast is served. So, if you would like your child to have breakfast at school, you're going to want to drop them off on that early side of the 8 a.m. time block so that they have time to get their breakfast and eat it in their classroom. And then morning meeting begins at 8:25. And morning meeting is something that happens in every classroom. There's a structure to it. It includes activities to unite the children, connect the children, get them started for the day, kind of disengage from any stress that might have happened in the morning, get moving forward together as one community. And the morning meeting is incredibly important to the class culture of each classroom at GRCDC. So it is very, very important that your child is on time each day so that they can be here for the morning meeting with their classes. And then obviously beginning at 8:45, instruction begins, various learning experiences, 2 recesses, lunchtime all happens in there. At 3:15, classes begin their classroom cleanup and their closing circle. And similarly to morning meeting, the closing circle is a time that the teacher designs intentionally for the class to kind of close their day together, process anything that needs to be processed, have some parting words, think about what went well today, what might we want to change for tomorrow, and is a really important point of connection for each classroom in the school. And then dismissal begins at 3:45 and runs until 4:15. This is just an example student schedule, like a sample student schedule, so you can get an idea of what a child's day might look like. Now, this is a very basic schedule because it doesn't include any specials. So, we have the arrival that we talked about. Students will have, a block of time where they work on handwriting or writing, phonemic awareness. Sometime in the morning or the afternoon, they'll have a classroom recess and snack. Well, they'll go outside with their classroom teacher, they'll have a snack. That will be scheduled within the school day by each teacher to come at a natural point of like kind of needing some break and some renewal or refreshment time for the children. Then they will have time for either social studies or science. And then recess and lunch happens. That's usually an hour of time, or that is an hour of time between recess and lunch. And then you've got reading. Reading will be a combination of some whole group instruction, some small group instruction, and at some point in each school day, children will have um, some intervention time where they can work on things that they might need a little extra help with their class. And then you would have classroom cleanup and closing circle. I am noticing right now in this schedule that somehow we are missing math, but children have math every single day. My guess is probably this time where it says the handwriting and writing and phonemic awareness is probably actually a math time. So I apologize for that. The other things that go into a school day throughout the week is that every single child will have two movement classes, two music classes, a social emotional learning class, an hour-long studio class with only with 12 children or less. Also, Tuesdays are early release days when school gets out at 2:30 to account for professional learning for our teachers. And then we have community meetings in the gym every other Wednesday and Thursday, beginning at 8:30. And parents are invited to join us for those as well. Other things that happen that are just other features like that happen or impact the student's day. Um, Many of you probably have already heard about, especially if you came on tour, the studio and project work. So every class does a year-long project that's based on some inspiring provocation that the class begins to discuss in relationship to some of the learning that they're doing that year. And they design a project around that with the studio coordinator, Miss Shi, and their classroom teacher. And they work on it all throughout the year in many, many different ways, preparing to share and present their work to the full school community by the end of the year. Throughout each classroom, there's going to be time for choice time, for brain breaks. Within our classrooms, you'll see that teachers have posted visual schedules for children, but also every classroom has some classroom jobs that students can participate in and routines. We have one-on-one intervention available for math and reading and social emotional learning, where we have staff members that can really, really, really intensively and specifically support individual students around math, reading, or social emotional learning if they have some needs or are falling behind in one of those areas. Each classroom has a calm down space and materials in each of the classroom, like fidgets and other type of sensory stimulation or calming materials. And we also have um, a sensory room in the school that students can take breaks in with their para or another helping adult. And each student loops for 2 years with the same student and teacher. So you'll have the same class and teacher for K1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that really helps support that education based on relationships. I mentioned before in the overview that social emotional learning is a really important and necessary part of being a member of our school community. So that is because with our Reggio philosophy, where we say education based on relationships, there's kind of a high level of like knowledge and sophistication required of our students within their relationships and of our staff. So we have 3 rules throughout the school in every environment you are in. Those are called the 3 Bs, and those are simply be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and be kind to the environment. And in each class and each space, the adults spend some time with the children talking through like, what does it mean to be kind to yourself in your classroom or in the school office or in the gymnasium? And what does it mean to be kind to others in this space? And what does it mean to be kind to the environment in this space? And so students are able to work with adults to define what that looks like and feels like. We really have a focus on restorative practices and responses when something goes wrong, there's a conflict, a rule has been broken, something has happened. Mr. Kleinschmidt, our social emotional learning coach, and Miss Angie, our social emotional learning interventionist, will work together with that child or that group of children and that teacher to create a response where the child can practice taking responsibility for their actions and repairing any actions or communicating communicating around actions that need to be done. We look at this as something to learn from for children. And we know that punitive practices around behavior actually do not work, because when a transgression or conflict or something has happened with children, it's typically because there is a missing skill, some missing practice, some instruction, some adult support that may be necessary or that is necessary to help the child have a different response the next time. Throughout the school, we use a conscious discipline approach. Conscious discipline is really around this idea that all behavior is communication, and by reactions and responses, children are letting us know what they need. And we know that what children need first is safety, and then connection, and then they can think about what they're going to learn. But if they don't feel safe and they don't feel connected, they're not going to be able to learn. And so it is the adult's job at GRCDC to help make that possible for children. And so adults also have a very high bar and expectation at Grand Rapids Child Discovery Center to be responsible for their own emotional responses, to maintain self-regulation so that they can partner in co-regulating with children when things go wrong. Another part of our conscious discipline approach is that there's certain structures that every single classroom in the school will have. So you'll see children and families represented in each classroom. You'll see jobs and routines in each classroom. You'll see the calm down space and materials in each classroom. You'll see a care center in each classroom. You'll see some ritual around thinking about and wishing well students that are absent. There's different structures within the conscious discipline approach that help us signal to children, you are safe, and help us connect with children and help connect them with one another so that they can learn. So you're kind of thinking of that as a hierarchy, like safety first, then connection, and then learning. And those things have to be true in order for learning to take place. Family engagement is a truly, truly integral part of our school community. The one thing that everybody has in common here at GRCDC is you had to choose to send your child here, right? So nobody gets sent to GRCDC by accident. And so the participation and engagement of the family in relationship with their child's teacher, in relationship with leadership, with myself, with the staff, really make the education of children at GRCDC successful. So we have a shared responsibility between the school and the home for the child's learning. We have shared responsibility to build trust and collaboration between school staff and family. We have a shared responsibility to develop a deep understanding of the child. So we learn from you, like, what is true of this child, in their home environment that's the same at school or different at school. And then you learn from us, like, how does my kid show up at school that's the same at home or different from at home, to help create a sense of belonging at the school, not just for children, but for the full family. Because within our education based on relationships philosophy, it's about the family, the child, and the staff member or teacher being in relationship together for learning to occur. So this is not a school that you'll be able to drop your child off, at 8 a.m. every day and like in August and not really think about what's going on over here again until June. There's needs to be that ongoing communication and reflection with your child's teacher and with other connected staff members in order to make sure that the child is progressing and learning as expected. So we have some routines around communication that can be helpful to know about. Every Friday, you'll receive the link letter. That is the school newsletter, and that will include, timely information about what's happening at the school. It will include a message from myself. It will include any special events coming up, and some information around the board, the family team, and Also on Fridays, you'll receive a folder in your child's backpack that is the school to home folder. So you need to take that folder out, look at it every Friday, and send it back on Monday morning, and that's school wide. Every Monday at 8 a.m., you'll receive a classroom newsletter. So that should be different from the link letter. The link letter on Fridays is telling you about school wide things. And then the classroom newsletter that you'll receive on Mondays will tell you about what's happening specifically in the classroom for that week. So what's the learning that will take place? Are there any other special events or testing that you need to be aware of? And any other message specific to your child's class that their teacher may want you to know. Every second Monday of the month at 6 p.m. are the GRCDC Board of Directors meetings. I'll get into that in a little bit. Um, Every teacher and interventionist in the school has office hours 2 times per month. They have office hours available both in person and virtually. We will publish the days and times for their office hours in the link and in the newsletters. And this is the purpose of office hours is for you to have an opportunity to just check in more casually, less formally with your child's teacher, both about your child's progress, about any concerns you may have, about any ideas you may have, things like that. It is meant to sometimes families might not connect with the teacher because they might think like, well, I don't want to bother the teacher, or I don't know if this is big enough deal or whatever, or I'd like to hear from the teacher a little more frequently, but I know she or he is really busy. And so the office hours are required of the teachers and the interventionists in the school. They are available for these office hours. So if nobody comes and talks to them during their office hours, then they're just kind of sitting there alone. So it's a really good idea to use these office hours for something, for check-ins, for relationship building, for brainstorming and things like that. And so I really, really encourage you to use the office hours. That is what they are there for, to kind of take the pressure off having to decide, like, is this like important enough for a formal meeting? So if you're having that question, just go to office hours. We have community meetings twice a month. They begin at 8:30 a.m. On Wednesdays. Every other Wednesday, they're for grades 3 through 5, and every other Thursday, they're for kindergarten through second grade. And the family team meetings, which is GRCDC's version of like a PTO or a PTA, those meetings are one Thursday a month directly after community meeting. So if you're able to stay for a community meeting, you can just hop right over to family team to kind of ease the amount of times that you might need to come back and forth to school for different events. Um, the other thing that I would say in terms of communication is if you're not sure about something, you're not sure who to talk to about something, just call the office and ask Miss Jessie and Miss Rachel. They are there to help. They will connect you to whomever you need to be connected to, and they may even be able to answer your question themselves. A year at a glance. So, we have some rhythms of the year that are important to note, some, regular events that happen, and thinking about like, what does the shape of a year at GRCDC look like? There's many other things that happen throughout the year, but these are kind of the big ones, are the ones that happen year over year over year. So, August is back to school night. That happens every year. September has our Labor Day break. October will be parent teacher conferences. And the reason why those happen in October is because that is after all of the data from the beginning of the school year, both the academic data in math and reading, but also the social emotional learning data and peer and adult relationships and externalizing, internalizing behavior. All that data has already been collected, and at the parent teacher conferences or family teacher conferences, it will be an opportunity for the teacher and the family to review that data together and talk about how best to support the student in the remainder of the year. Now, you do not need to wait until October to talk to your child's teacher. If there's a concern earlier or something you want to make sure they know, use those office hours. Those will start right away in September. But October is that formal time for families and teachers to get together. There will also be a fall fun weekend event that's hosted by the family team in October. In November, you'll get your first report card for your child, and we also have Thanksgiving break. December, we have a winter wonderland activity in the school day. We'll ask for parent volunteers for that, and then we'll have the winter break. January winter break is continued, and then we will also have the MLK Junior Day of Service. We have that day off as a school day, but we will offer some type of activity or act of service or observance that your child and your family can do together in observation of that day. In February, we have midwinter break, which is a 4-day weekend. And then we have Black History Month, and we have an event around the mosaic of stories to celebrate the diverse identities of all of the families in our school. In March, you'll get your second report card. March is reading month, and then it is also Portfolio Day, which is a day when all of the families come to the school in an assigned time period to look over, discuss, connect around, wonder about the work that your child has produced throughout the year and also in previous years. So if your child is in an older grade, you have the opportunity to look at things from kindergarten to fifth grade if you want to, and the child plans this event with their teacher, what they're going to share with you and talk about with you. And it's a really beautiful day to celebrate the work of children. April, we celebrate Neurodiversity Week in our school, and then we have our family dance. And then in June is our end of the year celebration where we celebrate and look at all of the amazing project work that children have done throughout the year. We have our fifth grade promotion where we recognize our fifth graders moving on to sixth grade, and then we'll have some schedule like change of loop mixers. So for children who are in first grade getting ready to go to second grade, and in third grade getting ready to go to fourth grade, and they know they've spent 2 years with the class and they're getting ready to have a different class. We'll have some mixers with those classes so they can meet the other teachers that they might have in the next year and meet the other students that might be in their classroom, or not meet because they probably already know each other, but interact with. I do want to make a note about our early release day. So Tuesdays, every Tuesday, we end school at 2:30, and that is about an hour and 15 minutes earlier than a typical day. So typically we end school at 3:45. On Tuesdays, we end at 2:30. The reason why we do that is that we have staff professional learning meetings on all of those Tuesdays. So we have advisory councils for reading, math, social emotional learning, equity and district processes. We have student support planning team meetings. We have professional learning meetings around specific topics. And teachers work their full day during those days, always. But as I mentioned before, with us being a single building school district, the responsibility for all of our learning and all of our work is within this building, which is truly, truly an honor and a privilege. But then we need time to do that work together, since we don't have other people in other offices that could get some of that work done. So that's what happens on Tuesdays. I usually try to let families know like what's happening this Tuesday, so you can get a little glimpse into that. Either for one full day or one half day per quarter, we have a what we call a data day. And this is a day that all of the teachers and interventionists and myself and Ms. Cooper get together and analyze the academic and social emotional learning data for the entire school building, and for groups of kids and individual kids. And we use that time to plan any support plans, any changes in what's happening in, let's say, the class schedule or something like that. And then also some, intervention planning for individual students during that day. We typically have one extra day before or after a break, also for professional learning, trying to think of like a more natural time to put these so that they're not such a great burden on the family. But do please be aware that our calendar is different than Grand Rapids Public Schools calendar, and that is by design, because the idea of a charter school is that we have some autonomy and freedom to experiment with some other things that are typically not part of the status quo of a traditional school. And we know that this time when your child may be out of school, but the teachers and staff are working, that takes planning and resources for your family. And so I both want you to know what we're doing doing with that time, but also want to thank you for understanding the importance of this time that this group of professionals at the school have together in order to make sure that we are offering the best instructional program for your child. Family engagement. There are two ways that we really ask families to engage with our school. And whether this is, your first child or your third child going through school, you probably know about some of this from when you were a student, but what we ask for might be a little different. So, first, attendance. We need all children every day on time for that morning meeting and present at school. The research, national level research, is extremely clear that children who miss 5 or more days of school per school year, like as the days add up, become at greater and greater risk, both for academic failure and for social isolation. This is longstanding research, and absenteeism has become a much bigger issue post COVID in our nation's schools. We do believe that if your child is ill, they're running a fever, they have vomiting or diarrhea within the past 24 hours, that they should stay at home. And we also know that children can come to school when they don't have a contagious illness and they might just be feeling a little uncomfortable. And with a lot of the supports that we provide here, they could still have a pretty successful school day. So we have Jesse and Rachel here in the office. They can administer meds or a resting break. We have the calm down corner in the classroom and things like that. So helping a child kind of strategize, like, what could make me feel most comfortable throughout this day so I don't miss this time with my learning and with my friends. So the other thing to really focus on is to schedule trips during school break times. It is an incredible burden on your child, first and foremost, and on the teacher for a child to take a long vacation at a time that is not a break time. There is simply no way for a child to make up for all that they missed during that time, all of the interactions, all the real world experiences, because our school is so focused on learning on relationships and interactions. The learning that our children do cannot be like reproduced in just straight up pencil or paper or computer tasks. So please, we do have, spring break, Labor Day break, midwinter break, winter break, Thanksgiving break, all great times for you to take trips. And please ensure that those trips are scheduled outside of school times. As much as possible, schedule appointments before or after school. And if your child has like a standing appointment, I know that those can be really difficult to get before or after school. So as your child comes to school age, you want to get on the wait list for the before or after school appointments for any regular standing appointments that your child may have. So that's part of it. Like, the biggest part of your responsibility is your child's attendance and making sure that they are here on time and every day. This is obviously a state law, so compulsory school attendance is a law in the state of Michigan if your child is enrolled in school and not homeschooling. But it is also very, very clear research around what is best for children in terms of regular school attendance that we are aware of at GRCDC and committed to communicating with families. If your child is having trouble getting to school for any reason, I invite you to reach out to us, reach out to Jesse, reach out to Rachel, reach out to myself, so that we can create a support plan for them. Maybe they need a little job to do in the morning. Maybe they need a peer partner to walk in the building with them. Maybe they need a different drop-off structure. There's so many different things that we can think of and we can provide for children and for families if your child is having a hard time coming to school each day. The next thing I'd like to talk about with family engagement is to just really encourage you to engage in the school. The school and the school community is really vibrant. It's full of people who, like I said, everybody chose to be here. So for some reason, in some way, you have something in common with each person that crosses through the doors at GRCDC. Because you both chose to be a part of this community. So the first thing I want to say to you is ask questions when you have them. We want to help you. We do not want things to be confusing or unclear. If you have questions, please ask. Come to our school events, come to community meetings as much as possible, come to evening events, make a commitment, in your mind at the beginning of the school year, like what your goal would be for how many things you might attend. And also teacher office hours. I encourage every single person to go to teacher office hours at least once per half year. So once in the, fall and winter, and then once in the winter and spring. Even if you don't have a concern or everything's going great, sitting down and talking to your child's teacher and learning about your child from the teacher's perspective and them learning about your child from your perspective, only good things can come from that. Only further connection, only better learning, only a greater sense of security for your child. So you can totally just show up to office hours and just say, like, hey, I just wanted to check in. I don't really have a concern. I just want to check in about my kid. How's it going? What can you tell me that you know about him or her or them? And so I just really encourage you, like, make a goal, mark it on your calendar. I'm going to go this half of the year and this half of the year, at least twice per year, show up for office hours. Volunteer for the family team if you do not have the capacity to, be a regular part of the family team and attend all their meetings. They host many, many, many events throughout the year and can use, one-off kind of this is my finite job type of volunteer experiences. Make sure that you read the link letter and the classroom newsletter every week. That is an easy, low touch way to be engaged with the school. Go over your child's Friday folder with them. So I've definitely been guilty before of like, oh, I'm pulling it out of their backpack like Monday morning, like, oh gosh, I didn't look at any of this yet. So try to make a routine that, you're getting that Friday folder out, you're opening it with your child. There'll be possibly some things that need to be sent back to school. There'll be things for you to look at together, assignments that your child has done or assessments they have taken. Ask your child a couple questions about this. What was interesting to you about this, or what was easy or hard for you about this? It's 5 minutes max. Just engage with your child around their Friday folder. You can donate time, you can donate items, you can share experiences to your child's classroom and school events. I mean, I know that everybody in 2025 has extremely busy lives, and many of our families are, running at or over capacity. And so, just choose the level of engagement that you can have. I would say, like, bare minimum, you're going to read that link letter, you're going to read your classroom newsletter, you're going to look at the Friday folder, and you're going to come to 2 office hours. That's baseline. Everything else is icing. Everything else is gravy. We want all of the other things. But if those are the main things that you know that you can handle to be tuned into your child's school experience, that will be great. Um, Now, this is a kind of interesting topic because this is something that truly, speaks to our identity as a charter school, or structure as a charter school rather than a traditional school. Because typically, if you go to a traditional school, then the board of directors is for the entire district, right? For several schools, our board of directors is just for Grand Rapids Child Discovery Center. They are a fully autonomous board. They are a public body and must follow the Open Meetings Act, the state of Michigan. And they are, the board of directors are chosen usually from either members of our school community, parents, or other partners, or the greater Grand Rapids community. And the board has a process where they vet prospective members, and then they are sent over to the elected board of GRPS, and GRPS must vote on our board in their role as an authorizer. And this group of really intrepid volunteers, they make sure that we're following our financial responsibilities, following our policies, set policies if needed, lean in on strategic planning and direction, like the very big picture things around our school. They keep our school running very smoothly. So These are all community volunteers. I really, really encourage you to attend a board meeting. There are certain things that you will only learn by being in the room of the board meeting. And we meet the second Monday of every single month. So the second Monday of any month at 6 p.m., you will find us at the building. If you're a little later than 6 p.m., I just put my cell phone right on the door and you can text me to let you in. And I think a good goal for every family would be to make a goal to attend one board of directors meeting for the year. That shows, respect and appreciation for the volunteers that give of their time, and their family's time, and their talents to help run the school. But it also helps you understand what we do and why it's different on a completely other level than in other types of interactions or relationships that you might have within the school. So I truly, truly invite you. They're usually about an hour and a half. Come and stay for as long as you want or can. There is a space for public comment in the beginning and a space for public comment in the end, but you are not required to comment. And I just really heartily invite you to come to all or at least one of the board meetings throughout this next school year. The next people I would like to introduce to you is the GRCDC family team. These are the co-stewards. You have Liana Moore and Ashley Palmater, and they run the family team. The family team is incredibly important at GRCDC, given that we're a single building school district. We don't have a central office or another organization that's bringing, people or capacity within our building. So the family team works to coordinate events, classroom support, parent connections, teachers and staff celebrations, just supporting and enhancing everything that we do in the life of the school. They are incredible. The co-stewards are incredible, and they've been consistent the past couple of years, which is nice because it's given the family team an opportunity to stabilize and grow. And the email address right here you can see is the GRCDC family team at gmail.com. And that is how you can get a hold of the family team and get involved and find out what they're doing. Next, we have Miss Jen B. So she runs our Discovery Care program. That's the before care and after care program for our students. Before care begins at 7 a.m. every day. So you could drop your child off at 7 a.m. And they will provide care for your child until school starts. And then same thing with aftercare. Aftercare ends at 6 p.m. each day. They have half day or full day care for some days when schools close, like those professional learning days we talked about. It is limited spaces, so first come, first served for after and before care. And I do know that they have an updated fee schedule, but I don't have that right in front of me. So you can get that information from Jen. So they are their own program, and Jen is the director of that program, but they are very close partners to us, obviously, because it's our students that attend before care and after care, and they're in our spaces. And Jen and I communicate very closely. And you can contact Jen to learn more at jenb at thegredc.org. Okay. We have come to the end. I know it's a lot of information, and it's just a lot of me talking to you about some of the things that make our school special and make our school tick. You may have questions, and if you do, number one priority of my job is to answer the questions that you have and make sure that again and again and again, you choose GRCDC for your child and for your family. So you can reach me here at, this is my cell phone number, 517-206-3868. You can text me, let me know who you are and when we can connect, or you can leave a voicemail. In your voicemail, just let me know, how to get you back. And that can oftentimes be a really important way to connect when we just need to like set up a meeting or a phone conversation. I am on call, outside of school hours for things that are urgent and emergent. So feel free to use my cell phone number if you have something that has happened and the school's closed and you need to get a hold of somebody. My email address is also right here. That's Nuyens, Nuyens l@childdiscoverycenter.org. Again, whatever your question is, your concern, you're wondering, your resource you want to share, whatever it is, go ahead and throw it in my inbox. I'm looking forward to connecting with you, and welcome to the GRCDC family.